When I was 24, I got married, and I was married for a year, and then we got divorced, and then I made my way back to Israel, made Aliyah. Hashem really runs the world. He really performs miracles, and I'm really not exaggerating. I did 40 days at the Kotel, and really, thank God, I actually met Alef during the 40 days, which is really cool. I was temporarily filling in a position of organizing the weekly shiurim, and Alef came to a shiur. So as the organizer, I introduced myself. We spoke briefly. We ended up on the same bus back to our area of Jerusalem. So on the bus, we were chatting. Alef, like a real gever, asked me out.
First and only person I've ever asked out.
Oh, so it's like Hashem and Torah was your shadchan.
And Yerushalayim.
And Yerushalayim.
And how old were you when you got married to Alef?
32.
It was almost 8 years after you got divorced that you got married to him. Welcome back to another special episode of Stories of Hope. Before we jump in, we are starting our giveaways again. If you want a chance to win $200, then pick a comment to share at the end of this video, something that you think other people will like, because the most liked comment will win $200. They will be our lucky winner. So enjoy this episode and then let us know what you think. And this week we had the honor of featuring Erica and Alef Lewitt. This was a special episode filmed in the Holy Land of Israel. Erica and Alef, both beautiful individuals who experienced divorce, share their experience, their challenge, and ultimately a tremendous amount of hope. I know you're going to love this episode, so stay tuned, grab your favorite snack, your favorite friend, or enjoy multitasking if that's what you're doing right now, and get ready to listen to another episode of Stories of Hope. Oh, hey, we're in the middle of filming, and I just took a quick break because I got a notification on my phone that the boots I was looking out for are 90% off. And as I was just casually browsing, I saw there's even my favorite cereal brand on sale. PZ Deals just has everything: electronics, food, clothing, toys, books. I mean, this is such a cool app, and I'm so glad I finally have it. What's even cooler about the app is that there's no membership. You don't have to pay to download it. You don't have to pay to stay on it. All it does is, instead of you paying the app actually saves you money. So if you don't have the app yet, I'm not really sure why, go to the App Store and in 10 seconds, download the free PZ Deals app, personalize it towards your interests, make sure only the notifications that you want on are there. And it's just so easy. And I'm just really excited to make these purchases. So download the PZ Deals app and never pay full price again. Do you have a wedding coming up? Maybe it's even your own, and you're looking for that perfect dress, that company that you can work with that's just a pleasure and that you know will promise what they preach. I have heard way too many horror stories of people that worked so hard to create the dress of their dreams only for it to turn out to be a nightmare. And that's why I'm really excited to tell you all about Raquel Couture. Raquel Couture has been in the business for over 30 years, providing the highest fashion in evening and bridal wear. If you are looking for something and you have a vision and you want it to meet your expectation, then that is exactly what Raquel Couture specializes in, making sure that every dress is unique, like no other, an item that you know you'll stand out in because nobody else has it. Not only do they specialize in personalizing beautiful, beautiful dresses, but they're also a pleasure to work with. They're located in Brooklyn and Lakewood, so not too difficult to get to. And if you tell them that you heard about them from Stories of Hope, you'll get an extra 5% off your next purchase. So if you're looking for that perfect dress along with an easy, smooth experience, then check out Raquel Couture on Instagram and you'll know that everything I said is right there to prove it. So choose Raquel Couture for your next wedding, celebration, whatever it is. They're the people you want to reach out to. Hi, I'm Tzipora Grodko, and this is the Stories of Hope podcast. I'm really excited to have recruited Erica and Alef in the last witching hour, 9:45 p.m. Jerusalem, Sunday night. Thank you for your bravery and being willing to come forward and share your story. I know we're all going to be very inspired, and it's so nice to meet you. I mean, I've met her 2 years ago, and I know she's awesome, but it's so nice to meet you. And when you walked in, your energy was just like contagiously positive and upbeat. And I'm so excited for what the rest of the interview is going to look like. So thanks for coming in.
Thanks. We're really honored.
Yeah,
We're really
we're
honored
excited.
and happy to be here. Really kol hakua to you for everything you're doing.
Well, kol
It's really
hakua to
important
you.
stuff.
I can't do it without you. You can have a band, but if no one comes to, I don't know, give you the sheet notes, you can't really play. So you're my sheet notes. Thank you. So Erica, let's start with you. Where is Erica from? How'd she grow up?
So Erica, I'm kidding. I'm from Springfield, New Jersey, and I grew up in a mono-Orthodox community and family. I went to Berea High School. Then I studied in seminary for a year and a half. I went to Stern. I'm an OT, so I went to graduate school in New Jersey for OT. And then when I was 24, I got married. And I was married for a year. And then we got divorced. Then I moved to New York, Upper West Side, for a few years, and then I made my way back to Israel, made Aliyah. And then a few years after making Aliyah, I met Alef, and that's where our story begins.
And how old were you when you got married to Alef?
32.
Okay, so it was almost 10 years after you got divorced that you got married to him.
Yeah.
8 years. That's not
Like
my strong
7
suit.
or
Now
something?
everyone
I
knows.
thought it was like 7, 8.
Yeah, like
7 or
7-ish,
8.
whatever. Just
Okay.
numbers, but yeah. Yeah.
Well, okay. Thank you. Significant numbers that hold so much history for you. So I don't want to disrespect them.
No, it's okay.
Okay. Thank you. Alef.
I'm Alef. Yes.
Like the letter?
No siblings, bet Gimel. You just get that out of the way.
Oh my goodness. Do you really get that a lot?
I think that joke was born the day before I was. I grew up in Baltimore, Maryland. Went to Yeshivat Rambam for all my years of school. I came to Yeshiva for a year, and I've been here for the past 15.
Oh, wow.
First time I got married, I was 27. We got divorced 5 years later. I was 32. And Erica and I got married, and I was 34.
Beautiful. So you were 34 when you married Erica. You were 32 when you married Alef.
Yes.
I would love to hear there's so many people listening who are divorced, have been divorced. And something that I often think about is there's so much challenge and there's so much pain. I just feel like divorce is a whole different caliber, especially within community. As a person, like, it's just something that I find such high regard and respect for anyone that's been through it, that's experiencing it, because it seems like a side different than all other challenges that are out there. It seems a lot more lonely and a lot more public. A lot more public.
Totally.
Can't hide that challenge. Everyone knows, which makes it so much more difficult. And I'd love to start off with what life was like for you after you got divorced.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Everything you said is so true. It's funny because I remember, processing like, okay, this is my story. Where do I go from here? And I remember just being so nervous, like the scarlet letter. Like I felt like there was a big letter D, like on my forehead. I'm divorced and trying to figure out how to share that with family and with friends, really, and just community. And again, like big questions coming up, like who do I date? When do I start dating? What do I do different this time? How do I trust myself? So it was a lot. It was a lot. Obviously, it's like something you don't expect to go through in life, kind of. And then you kind of just have to pick yourself up. And I did not do that alone. I had a really good therapist and really, really good friends and an amazing supportive family, which is just like so not a given. I have a lot of different types of friends, and I feel like when I got divorced, I just became super selective of like who I share my inner world with. And then I kind of just figured out like which personalities and who I can like fall on basically, and who I could rely on, and who I could turn to. And it's really these people, my family and these close friends that, and a good therapist that really like carried me through. And of course it takes time. But I'm really grateful for like really like throughout the different stages. I was in the Upper West Side, then I ended up making Aliyah, and just like the angels that Hashem has sent me along the way was like a really big theme for me. There's a lot more to say, but
we'll pause you here for now.
Yeah.
Oof. I'm curious to hear, I mean, support is everything when we're struggling to figure out how to help ourselves. And what would be helpful for people to know who know someone that's divorced, and what kind of support that they could maybe give them, but they're nervous, they're concerned, they're unfamiliar, and they don't know what to do?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's funny because I actually did have a few friends that have gone through divorce themselves. So just one quick story, and then I do want to answer your question.
It doesn't have to be quick.
Okay. So no, I just remember someone that went to the same high school as me had heard that I got divorced, and she reached out to me, and it was kind of random. And she was just like, I heard you got divorced. Like, I'm here if you ever want to go out to eat and catch up. And I was in just like such a place of just like, yes, like talk to me about life afterwards, you know. And she's a really good friend of mine, and he's just, again, one of the angels that Hashem had sent me along the way. And I would say that for anyone that reached out to me or anyone that I connected with, just like consistency, I found was like really helpful, of just like, checking in, being normal with me too. You know, it's not like, oh, you're divorced, you know, it's just like, you're Erica, you know. I think that was helpful to me, just like remembering who I am basically, and not just like highlighting this one aspect of my story.
Yeah.
Alef and I talk about like the importance of exercise and like just daily routine and different things along the way. Like I remember friends like helped me like, I don't know, just get into jogging more, or yoga, and just different daily practices I found really helpful. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a friend that reaches out to talk about divorce every second, but just a friend that's like a friend or family member that's just available if you want to talk about it. And also come with me to that yoga class, you know. I found that to be helpful. So
it's consistency and support to make sure you don't get stuck where you don't have that consistency. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. What about you, Alef? What was it like for you after you got divorced?
Life after divorce. So my personal story had an interesting coincidence of events where there was my training is in teaching, but I subsequently merged into the high tech world, and there was the market in Israel was in one of its many lulls in that. So I was experiencing unemployment pretty much exactly simultaneously to the beginning of the divorce period.
Ooh,
so I'm
really
very much a
hard.
person who thrives on structure and routine, and to have these things coincide was really, 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 really challenging, to say the least. It was basically like the emotional challenge with the lack of even like a chevra or a workplace or something to show up to every day, like just compounded the tendency to want to just like stay under my covers all day and like, what do I have to get up for?
You had the opposite of Erica, where like she had this consistent schedule and you didn't have that. yet.
It also for me, divorce coincided logistically and understandably with a relocation from one community in Israel to another. So it was just a lot of changes all at once. And so, yeah, finding that routine that Erica was also mentioning I definitely did not and could not have ever done that alone. I had one mentor who reached out and like literally would like make like a daily schedule for me, and that was like amazing because it was like it gave me that structure. One of the sources of strength that was the best for me was also friends. For me, it wasn't. It was actually not friends from before. It was friends. I was talking to someone and like an older friend from yeshiva, and then mentioned I was divorced, and he mentioned the name of someone else. He's like, "Oh, so and so, he's also divorced." And I discovered that he lived like almost around the corner from me. So I reached out to him, and he was exceptional at just like, he's like, "Yeah, if you ever want to call and just like scream or yell or cry or like I'm here." And he was already remarried and had a child, and it was just like, wow, it was like wow, sorry about like stories of hope. Like he was just like living around the corner, and he was that image of hope. And he's like, Yetov, Yetov. So like that was really huge. Just to piggyback on like what Erica said about the exercise too, like a different friend who I happen to know back from Baltimore is divorced, living in Yerushalayim, and he said he invited me to run with him the Jerusalem Marathon, which is not something I'd ever done before. He was like, I just remember his attitude towards it was like, "You're doing it." And I was like, yes I am. And that was just a lot of fun to have like that buddy to like to train towards something, that you're doing something with. Because I was also, I think the answer was structure of daily routine, structure of working towards something with someone. When you have a job, when you have a marriage, you're presumably working towards something with someone. So you're on a track, and to have both of those removed left that gap for me. And so to have that filled even in a microcosmic way with running or with literally just like getting up and getting out of the apartment and like occupying myself with something was like, it was almost like learning to walk again, learning to live again, learning to get up in the morning again with having to reinvent the reasons why I get up in the morning. And that was quite challenging.
Oh my goodness. It's so important for people to hear how challenging it is so that they could be so much more compassionate, supportive, sensitive. I just truly don't know. I can't understand how people can go through something like that and come out okay on the other end. I know people often say, "What do you mean you don't have a choice? It's sink or swim."
Yeah.
But sometimes people's version of sinking feels like they're swimming. People can choose to distract, dissociate, completely remove themselves from community, run to another country and live a different life.
Right.
And it's their attempt to cope. And I have no judgment.
Right.
Everyone's trying to survive. And again, I share this because I just have so much more awe and respect for the two of you for coming forward to share and for just knowing that this is a nisayon that God gave you. It means that he sees something so great inside of you that most people don't have, because I don't think most people can get through something like this. And this is me just verbally, complimenting you, probably a little bit too long on the podcast. So we'll move forward, but it comes from a place of so much love, and I appreciate you sharing. Was there anything that would have been more helpful for you in this process from community or friends?
Actually, the first thing that comes to mind with that, and maybe not quite just a related point, but maybe I'll circle back to that exactly, which is the immediate aftermath brought with it for me so much love and support from family and friends that it surpassed my expectations from the pre-divorce time, where I was, pondering the impending shame and dreading this, having this label, like being in that category. had I known how much support it would have brought, I would have felt a lot less fear. So that's just a kudos to my wonderful parents and siblings and friends who were just immediately there was no gap of like an awkward lack of understanding that then they had to be brought to understand. There was an immediate acceptance and understanding and support, immediate, like, on my side of understanding and never second guessing my me and not really seeing me any differently. And like, I think I was in my mind harder on myself in that, when I was describing the fear of being in that, in the divorce category. And in real life, the people around me were so much more accepting. And that was the best.
Yeah.
That was the best. I remember like just like crying tears of joy, not tears of pain, tears of like joy, of just like happiness, like of this relief of like, wow, like wow, the kvartov, this is already good. Like this is already good. Like if this is how it is, like okay, then I can do this. Yeah.
Beautiful. And as I'm hearing your experience, I'm wondering if there's anything that people said to you or did to you that should go on the do not do list.
Actually, so a few things do come up, which is funny because it was a long time ago, but it's okay. I think, it's totally fine. It happens. I think there's a general curiosity when you hear of people getting divorced. Even a relationship that like they break up, like you just want to know why, you just want to know what happened, who did it, and like what did you do with your sheitel, or what did you do with your engagement ring, and all these questions where it was totally not often at all. But I definitely had to figure out just like how to navigate questions and how to not overshare, because I was generally like like an open person, and I'm happy to be genuine. But at some point, if it's a sensitive topic, like I don't need to share, especially if it's not productive. Meaning like that's actually not important. Like let's just take this where I am now and let's move forward and be part of my healing process. And it matters less what I did with my sheitel, and it matters more of like showing up for me now, as I am, and so yeah, I think like it's totally natural to be curious, but just like maybe keep it in and
boy oh boy,
focus on like how to help, or how to just not be judgmental and just be genuine, like genuinely show up for another person. Like what does that, like ask yourself what does that look like, what does that mean?
This is so powerful in so many aspects of change and challenge that are public within community. You're so gentle and polite, and I'm hearing, don't be a yenta. Don't engage in a conversation that's for your interest and not for the benefit of the person going through the challenge.
Yeah.
And sometimes when people ask these questions and you're caught off guard, you feel obligated to answer and you didn't even want to,
right?
But you felt like you had to. So it's right.
Totally, I've totally been there. Like asking myself afterwards, I'm like, why did I say that?
Yeah,
that's okay.
Yeah, and it almost feels like if we don't answer, it'll seem like we'll misrepresent ourselves. And then when we do answer, we feel like we share too much of ourselves. And it sounds like it's safe to say it makes so much sense that you're curious. If you don't know, let's say it's safe to say it's probably none of your business, and it's not important for you to know. If you're not involved in this process, and you are not close enough where you know this information, then your curiosity is not productive in this conversation. And if something's not productive by default, it's usually like not constructive. It's usually destructive. So we want to be careful.
Right.
We want to be careful.
I'll also say sometimes even close family members and close friends, they want to be there for you. And, some of the most meaningful conversations that I've had were those people saying, I want to be there for you. Like, what's a good way to check in with you? Or, what works for you, basically. Like how, I don't want to be too much, or I don't want to be, just like trying to navigate this like genuine, gently and sensitively. And I felt so much love and like, from that it wasn't just like, let me be Yotze and trying to help the newly divorced girl, but like, let me help her in the way that's helpful to her, if that makes sense.
Yes, 100%. I think that we can't be scared to ask, what can I do to help you? I don't know what this is like. How can I help you?
Right. And you don't have to know. You really don't have to know what it's like. You don't have to be like, oh, I actually know someone divorced too, or whatever. Like, it's okay. Like, you don't have to know.
Yeah. We feel a sense of urgency to find a solution, or to act like we understand because we think that it'll show maybe like support of some sort, when the reality is we should just get used to saying, how can I help? What do you need? And the person might say, oh, like, it means so much that you asked. I'll let you know.
Right. I'll even say, Alef and I talk about this because our stories are a little bit different. And there's for sure a shared feeling of, experiencing pain, disappointment, and frustration, and healing, and then subsequent strength and courage and resilience, and then like a drive and motivation to have a healthy relationship and forward thinking and a bright future. Like that is a shared, commonality. And at the same time, like everyone's experience, again, not just divorce, like any breakup, is so unique. And, kids, no kids, long marriage, short marriage, God forbid abuse, or just natural disconnect, or whatever, everyone's scenario is super unique to them. So you really don't have to understand what a person has gone through in order to support them and show up for them, because tachlis, like, you won't, it's like super unique. Like Hashem really created their scenario the way that it was supposed to be, and that's not replicated. So
that's really powerful. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. We'll be right back to our episode, but first, you have to check out Pizza Biza, making fresh hot pizzas on the spot by their professional chefs, indoor or outdoor, in their pizza ovens, meat or dairy, plus full catering around the tri-state area and Florida. Specializing in events with several hundred people with no lines. You heard right. Full menu. You have to check them out on Instagram at Pizza Biza and visit them at pizzabiza.com. Pizza's my favorite food, so please invite me, Pizza Biza, on Instagram, and check them out at pizzabiza.com. Say Meaningful Minute and get $500 off your next event. These are the people you want to call. Pizza Biza, I'll see you at my next event. If you're getting married or know someone getting married, let's talk about one of the most meaningful parts of a Jewish wedding, the kasuba. For some people, you may have seen it just as a regular piece of paper, but this is actually a symbol that represents the harmony, the beauty of your relationship. Ketubah.com takes your kasuba and turns it into the beautiful piece of art that it really is. With over 500 different designs and artists from all over the world, you can personalize the perfect kasuba of your dreams with a team that works intimately with you, making sure that your design and your words are exactly what you want. Ketubah.com guarantees a kasuba that's probably better than you even dreamed. Get this beautiful design as a gift or for yourself from Ketubah.com. Alef, what was it like for you after you got divorced and you shared how you were learning how to adjust and restart a new life? When did you decide you wanted to start dating again, and what was that like for you?
I think for me that decision, it mirrors the decision to start dating the first time around, and it mirrors a lot of, I think, patterns in my decision making, which is I wanted to move forward, and I was told or recommended or advised that, like, maybe you should wait and use that time to fill in the blank, whatever it is that stage of life, invites. And then, when you're ready, then begin. But I think there was, barring the, logistical getting resettled and like literally like in an apartment, having a new address and just like knowing where do I daven in the, like, just like, where's my makolet, like barring all that sort of like settling in, I definitely was immediately forward thinking and immediately like there was even, I was just telling Erica, there was this, one of the big healing pieces for me that was very helpful was writing. There was this writing exercise that it's like an online course that Jordan Peterson has that one of my family members recommended to me, which was about it was called like future authoring, like basically like requesting of you to intentionally contemplate certain or maybe there's a past reflection section and a future envisioning section, and for me that was extremely instrumental in getting my juices flowing in terms of like what could be. And then that what it could be was key to that process I mentioned earlier about, literally getting up in the morning again, getting back into life again, and like having like, okay, so I'm preparing myself now for that. And I can, color that and dream about that and describe, the person I'm looking for and the family I want, etc. and more, and be like, okay, I'm not there right now, but me, going for that run or setting up that chavruta or having that habit or whatever, or reading that book or having this conversation is all just like, I'm building the foundations now for that. So like having those two connected helped me be able to live more presently and like, okay, yeah, I'm not there yet. That's exciting. I want to jump into that. Okay, slow down. You're not there yet, but the awareness that what I'm doing in the present was directly preparing me for that is something that gave me a lot of strength.
It sounds like you created almost like a vision board and you manifested. Like you wrote down what you wanted and then you knew doing these things, taking care of myself in this way is going to get me there. Like you had a vision and you held on to that vision.
Definitely. In that could be taken too far. And I think there was a certain point where I needed to surrender and let go and be like, okay, you wrote yourself a checklist of like, before I start dating again, I'm going to have A, B, C, D, E. And it's like, I only got through A, B, and C, but like, I'm still working on D, like all these other things too. And it's like, great. You're going out like, and because you're not going to, wait until those things are checked off perfectly.
And so how long did you wait until you started dating again?
Around 6 months, I think. Yeah, 6 months.
And
Yeah.
what about you?
Yeah.
A few months, something like that. A few months. And then I almost surprised myself. I was just like, really? Like, I'm really ready. But yeah, it was also this like forward thinking type of thing.
So how does if someone's divorced, and they're hearing you say the word like, I'm ready, and they're thinking, what does ready look like? Can you describe what it looked like for you?
It's a really good question.
It might be just a feeling. It might be a knowing. It might be something a little bit more specific. Something
that Alef and I have discussed was this like ready and not ready, meaning not being fully, you alluded to this just now about like not being fully figured out, but feeling stable enough and feeling, having clarity of what you want. And in terms of like, again, like the structure and just feeling like I'm in a somewhat settled place. So like I'm open to a relationship. And yet having everything figured out yet, like, Alef and I discussed that when you're in a relationship, things come up that, you thought you were healed in a certain area that was like a sensitive spot. And then, but being in a relationship with someone else, things come up for you. So meaning you're ready and then things come up. So I guess I would say, if you feel certain, like, strength and settled and stability, and a curiosity of meetings, of putting yourself out there and meeting other people, and you feel it's okay to be nervous, but you feel open to a new relationship, then I feel like that's a really good place to start. And with the humility of knowing that you're still in a process of healing, and, you know, as things come up, you're ready to, you know, work on them and address them and embrace them.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I can just like carry right off that, I think one of the things, if a person is, regardless if they themselves are divorced or not, if you're dating somebody who's divorced, I think one of the things to respect and to be there, and one thing that I experienced that I was very lucky to have when dating Erica, is a patience and understanding that, you know, to give them, and I was lucky to be on the receiving end of this, the space to process things and to respect that process, and to, even if you're not the address for facilitating that process. Meaning, usually in a relationship, so if you had a bad day at work, if you're going through something, so then the person you're in a relationship with is your address to share that with. The irony, and makes all the sense in the world, is that if the thing you're processing is a past marriage, the person you're in a relationship with now is not the person to process that with. Yet it's very important. And so if you're dating someone who's divorced, know that you in your relationship with them is going to bring up stuff for them that they're going to need to process, and they're going to need to go to the side to do that.
Like with a therapist, with another person?
With a therapist, with a friend, by themselves. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Not
but
with
without
you.
you.
Without you.
You know?
And they're going to want your support of that and they're going to, and it would be helpful if you could be okay without needing to know the irrelevant details.
Can you expand on why that's so healthy?
It's healthy because there's a fear that, you know, anyone who was in a previous marriage carries a lot of feelings that have no place in the new relationship. You know, the reason you asked this question about readiness is because there's such a thing as not ready, and whatever not ready looks like has maybe too much, you know, stuck still, and too much still carrying with from that past. Where that line is exactly why there's no exact answer, but like somewhere between, you know, can you leave it all behind? Impossible to ever. Can you just jump right from one to the other and take it all with you? Absolutely not. So I think something that I experienced is very helpful is like receiving support and validation and respect to be able to, so I can be able to share, listen, I had a weird day because something, you know, reminded me of something, and I can't really share with you all the details of the something, but just know that it was hard for me and I'll be okay and I need some time.
Because sharing the details would further complicate your process of healing, because it would create
it wouldn't necessarily complicate the process of healing. It would complicate the process of what we're trying to build.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Like like while you're trying to heal, the other person has now all these new feelings associated to that experience that you shared.
Yeah. And just any healthy partnership, I would say, is right. We're here, you're here to support the other person, but you're not their therapist. We're not meant to heal our partners and be their everything, right? That's the beauty of, you know, again, therapists, family, friendships. And if you really respect your partner, then you trust for them to, you know, like also take care of themselves, if that makes sense. And just like you should also be taking care of yourself, right? And not expect your partner to be your everything and to be your address and to be your therapist or whatever, to hold all of your feelings, right? That feels, it's a lot to expect of someone. And that dynamic can be tricky. So actually, I don't know if you know, we met naturally. So
that was my next question.
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, Erica, see, you're great at this. You don't have anything to worry about.
Jump the gun.
How did the two of you meet?
Yeah, wow. Hashem really runs the world. He really performs miracles, and I'm really not exaggerating. We met on our own at a shiur in Yerushalayim. There's a organization for young olim, like young professionals, called Babayit, and and I was temporarily filling in a position of like organizing the weekly shiurim, and Alef came to a shiur. So as the organizer, I like introduced myself. We spoke briefly, and then Alef subsequently offered to give a shiur, so we got in touch. And then a week later was Pesach Sheni, which is significant because Pesach Sheni is all about second chances. So we were actually at an event in Nachlaot, a Pesach Sheni event with Torah, Niguni, and whatever. I almost didn't go, and then, thank God friends were there, and they said, yeah, no, it's still going on, go to it. So I stopped by, and I saw that Alef was there.
And I noticed that she was there.
And then Alef shared a really nice Torah, and we ended up on the same bus back to our area of Jerusalem. So on the bus, we were chatting. I'm like, oh, you gave a really nice Torah, good practice, because you're going to be giving a shiur for Babayit.
Look at you with your lines.
I actually really wasn't trying to start with them or anything. I was just being friendly. But yeah, fast forward, we were messaging a little bit back and forth, and Alef, like a real giver, asked me out.
Okay, so I'll pause you here. Alef, when did the thought of going out with Erica cross your mind?
So after that second shiur, the Pesach Sheni shiur, and the bus ride back home, I think at that point I was like already thinking about her a little bit, and then a couple days later, I think that was a Thursday, so then that Sunday, a couple days after the weekend, I had one of these like WhatsApp groups that sent out, like little quotes from like Rav Kook, or quotes from, I don't know, some inspirational quotes, and I saw something that, at that night, Erica reached out to ask me if I can reshare with her over WhatsApp the Dvar Torah that I had shared. She said some people want to hear it. She had a group of friends, and they wanted if anyone had any Pesach Sheni Torah. And Erica told them, actually, I don't remember what the rabbi there said, but this other guy, Alef, shared something. Let me reach out to him and see if.
And I had his number because he offered to give the shiur, so that's why that was cool.
So when she reached out and asked if I could repeat what I said, I felt flattered. I felt cool, and the teacher in me is like, cool, like I get to share. And also it's like an extra excuse to continue talking to her. And then a couple of days later, when I came across this quote that came to me from this WhatsApp group, that reminded me of the Dvar Torah and the stuff that Eric and I had been corresponding with a couple of days earlier, I said, oh, here's another excuse to reach out to her. So I started chatting with her on WhatsApp again, saying, oh, this quote reminded me of what we were talking about. And then we went back and forth for a little bit, and then I asked her out. First and only person I've ever asked out directly.
Oh, so it's like Hashem and Torah was your shadchan.
And Yerushalayim.
Triple whammy. And it was during Pesach Sheni, a time of second chances, as you said.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I actually didn't do it. I usually like research a little bit of just like, the experience post-divorce, especially if you get asked out and you're not set up, then people might not know about you that you're divorced. And also I didn't really do much research about Alef before when he asked me out. I kind of was just like, oh, he seemed nice. I was open. Not just nice. He seemed very special. So I was open. Like I didn't have to think about it. And I was all nervous. Like I didn't know how old he was. I didn't know, I have to, do the whole, like I have to tell him I'm divorced thing, which comes up when you, when you have to, you learn how to share. You learn how to share, I was previously married, and it's part of my story. And like, again, that's something that, I feel like I'm like part of my like life journey or whatever, just embracing your story and just really like owning your own experiences, and sharing them from a place of like, right, like this is part of who I am, and like there's no shame behind it, and there's just, it's like it's part of me, it's not all of me. So on the first date, I shared right, so I shared that I was divorced, And I was pleasantly surprised and a little bit relieved that Alef also had been previously married. And just like in parentheses, I'll say that most of the time, anytime I had to share that with like other guys that I've dated or even, you know, friends that I had met who didn't know that about me, like I was really pleasantly surprised with people's reactions of, you know, usually like super cool, you know, not judgmental, just very like, all right, you know. In the context of dating, I feel like often men would ask like, do you have any children? And I would say no, and they're like, all right, like they kind of were just chill about it. And then learning about Alef's story a little bit on that first date, you know, it was just very important to me, like on our second date, to just ask Alef, like, is he like where is he in his healing process? Right, like, is he ready for a real relationship? Because I was open to, you know, for the real deal. I was looking for the real deal. And if he's like in therapy and if he's actively like processing and healing. And he shared his answers. And I just saw in general that Alef was really genuine and reflective and like open about where he is in his process, and confident that he was open to making something real. And I trusted him. And I surprised myself with like being open to that. And I love just like, you know, because trusting someone after you have your own experience of like pain and frustration and stuff, it's hard to like trust someone else. It's hard to trust yourself. But Alef really made it easy.
For so long, we've been taught to believe that you need to wait for things to change in order for life to get better. And you deserve to live the life of your dreams before things change. And that's what Live Better Academy is here for, enabling you to enrich your life by exploring the 5 core areas that contribute to your fulfillment and happiness. This course is here to make sure that you no longer need to wait. Exploring spirituality, health and wellness, recreation and soul, social support and environment, and your profession and ambition, my course helps you understand what you're missing, explore any gaps that need areas of improvement, and truly understand what you need to do to create the life that you deserve. It's a 5-week course, so you have to be fully committed. But the easy part is that it's all virtual. You can access it anywhere and anytime. It includes pre-recorded classes, intense coursework material to take the information, turn it into application, and ultimately transformation, and a live group class, which includes me and your peers. It's truly extraordinary, and I want you to be a part of it. So if you're interested, click the link below to schedule your free 15-minute consultation to see if it's the right fit for you, or send a quick text message to the number below to schedule your free 15-minute consultation. I cannot wait to meet you and be on this journey with you so that you can finally live life better. I wanna kind of like put on our non-existing PowerPoint what you said, which is I was open to share because I didn't want to have shame that this was my identity, but it was rather just part of my story, which is so much of what you're doing here tonight. And if anyone feels shame, firstly, I feel like anyone that knows that person, you know someone that got divorced, every person plays a responsibility in contributing to that shame. And if anyone listening got divorced and is feeling incredible shame, I kind of want you to feel brave, because it takes a lot of bravery every day to wake up and face the public. It takes bravery to tell the voices in your head that are trying to put you down that you are so much stronger than you ever thought you could be, and you will pay it forward. So I just really appreciate you sharing that tidbit. I'm sorry for interrupting you. What did you want to share before?
I wanted to continue the line that Erica said about, she said it made it easy. I said that before we met, the tefillah that I walked around with, the lines that were like on my tongue, like I was speaking to Hashem, was Hashem just like, please just send me someone that's just, it's just starts off, it's just easy. It's just easy to talk to. It's just easy that it's just like, that I don't have to try. So much of dating and so much of relationship is like, some people are more in their heads, less in their heads. I shared about my checklists before in terms of just like, things, what I need to be ready. I knew that for me, that was going to be, and always was in dating, an obstacle in terms of like getting out of my head and just being in the present, just enjoying.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really, really asked Hashem for like, just give me someone where that part's easy, where like, that part's not something that I need to think about working on, or that it's just like, at least at the beginning, like I'd love it to just flow and to just be, just carried as easy. And Erica made that really, really easy. And like, that was very, very clear right off the bat. So I was very, very lucky.
Beautiful. And how long did you and Erica go out for?
A year.
And during that process, as things were getting more serious, did you experience any fear of, oh no, what if this is feeling very real now? Last time I got engaged, I got divorced. It would be only natural if you experienced those sort of thoughts and fears.
Totally.
Did you experience any of that?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't go out for a year for nothing. I actually think it's funny because earlier on we discussed like, oh, how long do you think that you would need to go out for or whatever until
Mm-hmm.
Thank God we took it slow, and I also think that we dated as long as we needed to be as sure as one could possibly be. I think also the war kind of set that pace for us, just because, October 7th, the war, Alef was in Miluim. So, and then, as all relationships go, there are ups and downs, and for sure, a lot of fear throughout. And I just wanted to comment on what you said before about like being strong and, shame and facing shame. I remember people saying like, you're so strong, Erica. I'm like, I don't feel strong. And this doesn't like, being strong doesn't always feel strong. It's like, it's really one foot in front of the other, and like holding a lot of fear with you.
Yeah.
And
I want to clarify, I didn't say being strong. I said you are stronger than you know.
Right.
Because not everyone has to be strong. Sometimes we can't be strong.
Yeah.
But just to know that we don't know what we can do until we're in a position where we're forced to do it. But you're right.
Totally.
No one should feel like they have to be strong.
Totally.
It's actually very minimizing and dismissive if you're in pain and you hear that. Sometimes.
Also, you like want to be strong. Actually, not just strength, but also like, again, what you said, bravery and courage. Like, I think throughout our relationship, again, I was like cautiously excited, but really holding on to the cautious part, just out of, fear of getting hurt and fear of, it's just so vulnerable to be in a relationship. That's it. Like you want to escape that vulnerability, but there's really no way around it. Classic Brené Brown always talks about that. Like that's how you build something meaningful. If you're like really willing to be brave and courageous to develop something real, not knowing how it's going to work out in the end, right? Like giving something your all with no guarantee. So a lot of our relationship, right? We went out for a year and it wasn't really a guarantee. And relationships are not a guarantee. I mean, like life is fragile. Like meaning everything is, there's no guarantee. So there's just like holding, like that's the bravery and that's the courage that a relationship really requires.
So would you say that taking your time was what aided in trying to find a solution to your fear?
Yes and no. I think also just like being comfortable with holding it, with comfortable holding it.
Yeah, the time was important, but not necessarily as a as a direct, that wasn't what helped. You need time in order to do the things that I think did help, which was, go through the processes and you utilize that time, not just take the time. It doesn't, we say it's important to take your time. Doesn't just mean postponing the date when you buy a ring, or postponing the date when you plan a wedding. It means utilizing that time to get whatever help that is, whether it's a mental shift or a perspective change or just a realization, to feel that fear and do it anyway.
Literally quoting Brene Brown.
Yeah.
And so as we're coming to a close, I want to know, during this process, after divorce, was there any time where you thought, maybe this is never going to happen for me? Maybe I won't meet the right person?
Totally. There were real lows, there were real lows. I feel like I confronted Hashem in a very real way, of just like, what's going to be, what's Hashem's plan, and also like other relationships that didn't work out post-divorce, like also felt like mini divorces in some ways, just because it's like touching that same wound kind of like disappointment and pain and frustration. And there is this question of just like, what's going to be my story? Like, what's the plan?
Yeah. And what got you through those scary low times?
As you mentioned, for sure, family and friends, and really just over time for me, like really building a lot of inner strength, like living your best life type of thing. People talk about that, like it's true, like really just when someone gets divorced, you realize like it's up to you to like live your life and make the most of it, again, with no guarantees. I remember someone very close to me after I got divorced said, "I wish I could take away your pain." And if anyone could have, like she could have. And the fact that she was saying that, I'm like, it was just such a turning point of wow, this is really my life. Like I have to like deal with it. Like I have to pick up the pieces. And it's again, it's one foot in front of the other, and healing really takes time. People talk about that, but it's really true. And at some point you're like, it's never going to feel different. And then at some point you like look up and you're like, oh, I remember I was there, and like, I'm not there anymore.
Oof.
Like I moved, I moved. And just like,
Wow.
yeah, really like living your fullest life and like doing things that fill you up. I feel like became a real priority, like self-care and just like filling yourself up with good people and good experiences, and healing relationship with Hashem, for sure. Hashem was like mamash running the show the whole time, and I really felt it. I actually did 40 days. You know the whole segula with 40 days?
Yeah.
So I did 40 days at the Kotel, really just to like solidify my relationship with Hashem more than anything. And there's something about like showing up to the same place every day and saying the same tefillah, and you're just like, God, like I'm committing to you. And really, thank God, I actually met Alef during the 40 days, which is really cool. Meaning it wasn't like, okay, that means he's the one at all. We still dated for a year and, did our process. But yeah, like I think holding on to whatever, the emunah, the spiritual relationship that you have with God, I think really carried me through.
Amazing.
That was huge. That was really, really huge.
And did you, Alef, ever have that fear of, what if I never meet the right person?
I didn't have time to. For me, it was a little bit different. I think maybe I don't.
That's
no,
okay.
I didn't feel that. No.
Okay. And how old were you again when you married Erica?
I was 34.
34.
Yeah.
And so on that note, what hope would you give to someone who feels so discouraged and feels like they don't believe that the right person is out there, that they tried and this is where they are, it didn't work out, they can't imagine the possibility of being with the right person? What would you tell them? What hope would you give them?
I would say what one of my best friends said to me all the time. She was just saying, like, keep your head up. Keep your head up. And like, I don't know. I think that's a really powerful line. Just like, keep your head up, don't give up. I know it's really hard right now, but this is temporary, meaning like there's no like permanent, you're not sitting in this permanently, right? Like things are fluid, things are constantly moving. And there's this like temporary feel, like this is a temporary feeling, right? Anytime anyone experiences like anxiety or people talk about how to address like anxious feelings, and it's like this feels so big, it feels like such a big feeling, but to really remind yourself of like, oh, this is a feeling and this is such a real feeling, it's also a temporary feeling, right? Like I'm not always going to feel like this.
Thank you.
Could I add one more thing?
Please.
It's very important for me to add. Anyone who goes through the process of divorce directly experienced a leaving from something, meaning they were, whether running, escaping, saving themselves, whatever it is, they were definitely moving away from someone, from a scenario, from a situation. And or part of I mentioned before in terms of like taking time and like utilizing that time. For me, one of the main hurdles to overcome in utilizing that time was shifting from trying to shield myself from something and leave something and avoid something. My parents are divorced, so I always had in my mind, sort of like following me throughout my whole, dating and journeys is, like, well, I don't want to be like that. And that don't is in the negative. It's, it's making choices from a place of fear is not a good idea. And so utilizing the taking time in order to really solidify that shift of, I'm not making choices from a place of protecting myself from, that should be in the mix and that cautiousness should be there, but it shouldn't be running the show. You shouldn't be calling the shots. What should be calling the shots is what I'm going towards, what I'm enthusiastic about potentially building, what I'm looking forward to, living life and making choices from a place of going towards versus a place of going away. And maybe just to answer the question is like, when do you feel ready to make that choice? Not when do you know, because there's no like knowing, there's no guarantees, but the choice of getting married. Yeah. When do you make that choice? When the feelings and intellect, but also when the feelings of positivity and excitement and of potential and of future and enthusiasm about building a future easily outweigh or definitely outweigh the fears and the cautions, which will still be present.
Right. Which will still be present. You just have to hold it.
Yeah.
And then you make a choice, a brave choice.
And you do it with someone who you say like, okay, they know I have that stuff. I have that stuff too. It's like we both know, and like we're okay with the fact that we both have this stuff. Like, okay, because I think as much as we're speaking in generalities about like someone who divorced who and someone who found someone who, like at the end of the day, I can only speak for like I don't know if I'd be able to do this path with anyone. I know I can do it. I believe I can do it with Erica, but that's as much as I can say.
Ooh, so much to learn from the two of you. Aw, thank you so much for being brave and coming forward and sharing your story with so much respect. I'm so inspired, and I know that all our listeners are as well. And it's been really special to hear your incredibly powerful story of hope. Thank you for coming in tonight.
Thank you so much. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for watching another special, handcrafted, tailor-made episode of Stories of Hope. Once again, if you enjoyed this episode, let us know, and Erica and Alef, because they will read it in the comment section below. The comment that gets the most attention, the most positive feedback, the most likes, will be our lucky winner of $200. If you have an idea, a question, or a comment, or someone you want to nominate for our podcast, let us know by sending us an email to soh@meaningfulminute.org. As always, we love hearing from you. See you next time on Stories of Hope.